Welcome to 843 TV. Today our show brings us to Friends of Caroline Hospice located in Port Royal. We're going to be learning about all the special services they provide to folks in need of hospice care. Joining us today is the team from the organization, Dr. Gordon Kruger, who is the medical director. Also we have Linnell Fabian, she's the director of community engagement, and also Sharonda Clark, who is the office manager and has been with the organization over 20 years. So stick around for this episode of 843 TV, where communities come to speak.
.843 TV, where the Low Country comes to speak.
Where Bluffton comes to speak.
Where Hilton Head Island comes to speak.
Where Beaufort comes to speak.
.843 TV,
where communities come to speak. Welcome to 843 TV. We are here at the Friends of Caroline Hospice, which is located in beautiful Port Royal, South Carolina. And we're in this really cozy spot here in this beautiful garden. And here to share with us today is Dr. Kruger, Linnell Fabian, and Sharonda Clark. Thank you all for coming out and having us out today.
Well, thank you for having us.
We're going to be learning so much about what you all do and about the hospice care in general over the next couple of segments. So let's talk about Friends of Caroline first. Maybe Dr. Kruger, you can start us off. Tell us about the history, how it was formed, and those interesting facts we'd like to know.
Well, I think that's very important to the clientele and people that are listening to understand that hospice in the United States is relatively a new form of medical care. It's probably about 80 years old. It was initially established in England and brought to the Northeast, and then has migrated down the coast here to Port Royal. And I think Linnell may tell us more later about how it started with a young lady and her friends, Friends of Caroline, that started the hospice. And the idea of the hospice is to provide quality, dignified, loving care and pain control for those who are at the end of their life with a chronic severe illness that's just not going to get better with medical management.
And I think too there might be a common idea that hospice is for elderly folks, and that typically is the case, but in fact it's not always the case because these illnesses can strike at any age. So who would like to share with us a little bit about that and maybe why it is called Friends of Caroline? How about Caroline's story?
Okay, so Caroline Kwan was a young woman in her late 20s who had cancer, and she did not want to be in a hospital. She didn't want to die in a hospital. So her friends, some people from her church, got together and arranged for her to be able to go home, and they cared for her so she can have some dignity and be in her comfortable space when the time came. And that's where Friends of Caroline came from, and that's how we got started. And so, as we all know, certain illnesses can strike at any age, and we have patients of all ages, and we work hard to help them and their caregivers.
So then share with us a little bit about the process that you all go about in helping patients or potential patients or clients. Who would like to share with us about where does somebody start?
Well, normally they will call in. You don't need to have a referral. You can just call in and just give us a little history of your problem. And then we have our fabulous medical director, and he will come out with the nurse, and they will make an assessment. And we have a whole team. We have the nurse, we have the CNA, we have a chaplain, and we have the volunteer coordinator, we have a social worker. So we can help with a plethora of problems. We have a fabulous social worker. You know, if you have internal problems, she will find resources out there to kind of help out. So normally that's how it starts. The nurse will go out and make an assessment. Dr. Kruger will go out and assess it, and we go from there. And the nurse coordinator will set it all up, and we go from there.
It's as Sharonda has indicated, it takes a team to handle all the details that need to be humanely and carefully handled at this stage. Part of what we're also working with, though, is that to get that first call in is the normal human nature of denial.
Yes.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And everyone has a degree of denial. And everyone has, maybe if they have a problem, just a little bit of dementia or a little bit of a spreading cancer. And it is always going to be controlled with aggressive medical management. Well, that's not the case. And it's hard, though, for the families and for the patient to say, well, let's get another opinion in terms of what we have to offer ourselves going down the road. Since this is such a young modality for medical care in the United States, a lot of the doctors, some of them not much older than me, but have never really been trained on how to handle a dying patient or one with a severe chronic illness. And that's why they're slow to refer from a medical standpoint, and it makes them feel like they are a failure to their patient if they have to discuss with them that there's nothing further that can be done, whether it's congestive failure, kidney disease, liver disease. So there's always room for a discussion, and part of what we are really driving at wanting to talk like this is to get people to feel at home to call and have a discussion. It doesn't mean that they're surrendering, it doesn't mean that they're giving up, but they're getting more aware of their options.
Right. So taking that first step is a huge part of the process for the caregiver or for the patient themselves. Now you offer all these services at no cost. Very important, and that in itself should be a comfort to those who are maybe pondering calling or maybe in denial, as you say. So how do you operate? How do you fund things?
Well,
Well, we have a thrift store that operates year-long.
Love those thrift stores.
Yes.
Those are the greatest things.
It's located on Rebo Road. We take donations and the proceeds go to our services. And we have a few events every year. Upcoming, we have the Festival of Trees, which will be in December. We have a barbecue event, Bands, Brews, and Barbecue in February. And we also have a fashion show in April.
We're going to talk a little bit about the Festival of Trees and some of those events in a later segment. So you all stay right here. We'll be back with more 843 TV here at Friends of Caroline.